Good evening everybody and welcome back to a new season of the Apex Online Racing Xbox One League, and it is great to bring this to you guys. It's been a long time since Xbox was broadcasted live and I'm very delighted to bring you this. So I want to give a massive shout out to Fizzy for allowing me to do this and give you guys what you want to see, featuring some of the biggest names on Xbox One and a highly competitive one. So this season is going to be absolutely exciting to showcase to you guys throughout the season. I'm Ryan L83, and joining me in the booth at this season, which you will see in a moment's time, is a former Xbox F1 League driver and a guy who knows this league very, very well. It is AOR, and I'm very delighted to have him on board, and it will be exciting to work alongside someone who knows this division very, very well. The calendar's on your screen as well, guys, and every round will be streamed live on this channel, guys, at 8 o'clock. So make sure that you subscribe and notifications are on so you do not miss out on seeing the biggest names in this side of the Apex Online Racing League as well. The track, of course, is Albert Park, a great track to kickstart a new season as well. We've got the Ultra Softs, the Softs, and the Super Softs available to these guys tonight, and the strategies will be very, very interesting to see. If we're going to have a mix of rain or it's a dry race, we shall see how that one pans out as well. And if you want to get involved with tonight's broadcast, then use the hashtag AORXbox to get yourself on the broadcast. I'll be reading out a few during qualifying and the race itself. But speaking of qualifying, we're going to head over there in just a moment as we'll take you around the lap of Albert Park, Australia. And we'll see you in qualifying for the first round of a new season in AOR. So we go then the first hot lap of the series, and we're driving as Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull, funny enough on his home track. So going down the straight then where the DRS will be enabled, going through Brabham and Jones, 1 and 2, got to nail this absolutely spot on, and vulnerable to corner cutting, so they've got to keep that absolutely spot on and in within the track limits or their lap will be invalidated. Going then down the second DRS zone, and we're going into Whiteford corner, third gear corner this one, and then coming into turn 4, little short shift, and then on the power straight away, going through 5 completely flat to end the first sector right now, coming up towards turn 6 and 7. Little couple of gear shifts down here, a little bit of a lock-up from me there, bringing a little bit wide there, but the things of the drivers will hitting those apexes spot on. Coming then into turns 9 and 10, famously known as Clark Corner, is turn 9, braking just at 100 metre board and dropping it down a couple of gears, trying to hit the apex as well. Coming on to the back straight and towards probably the fastest section of the circuit, turns 11 and 12. Going nearly up to 8th gear, and they do indeed. Some may go in 7th here, dropping down a couple of gears, trying to keep it as flat as possible through here if they can in qualifying, and they nail it as well. Another vulnerable place to get a corner cut warning as well from the stewards. Coming into Ascari, turn 13 at 100 metre board, dropping down a couple of gears as well, hit that apex on the inside, and then going through Stewart, turn 14, a little lift from here, maybe a full on throttle, we do not know yet. Into Prost, turn 15, a couple of gears down in 2nd gear, and then short shift as well to reduce the rear end, and then turn 16 again, another short shift, and back on the power with the DRS enabled as well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been the first lap guide for the first round of the Xbox One F1 League for Season 14. And now let's head over for the first qualifying session of the season and see who will come out on top in this first round. And hello everybody, and welcome to qualifying for the first round of the Xbox One F1 League. And joining me, and I'm very excited to bring this guy on for this season, it is AOR, and I hope I got your name right, my friend. Welcome.
Yeah, that's basically right. I'm really excited for this season. And competitive seasons we've ever had in AOR. So, yeah, really looking forward to it, and hopefully it will be a really good season.
Indeed. There was a slight moment on your side, but do not worry, you're fine now. Anyway, so obviously you know this league very, very well, and obviously you competed last season. Who are we expecting out of these guys tonight and for the season to mount a challenge in this Season 14?
I think us flying Finset to 21.6, that's a decent banker lap for in there. I think it's going to be so close this season between maybe even the top 7 or 8 drivers. It's really going to be difficult to choose between, who's going to come out on top. I'm assuming later on we will see a pecking order starting to be established, but I think at the moment it's far too close to call. We have seen in the esports league, guys like NLR Evo, Flying Finn and Bamley have been very, very close on these, so those are going to be names to watch. But we've also got the likes of TRL Limitless and the Flying Finn, TRL Martin as well. that are all going to be right up there. So it's going to be very, very close.
Indeed, and I'm actually on board with the Flying Finn right now. We're going to go on board in that Mercedes, which he drove in the F1 Esports event, which got him into the top 3 to qualify for the semi-finals. So he's definitely won, and obviously he is the defending champion in the Xbox F1 League, if I'm mistaken. So he's coming into the last sector then, and he's looking pretty good so far. I've got to say he's kept it nice and clean coming into the final couple of corners into Prost corner. Probably the most difficult corner on the circuit, I have to say, to get that absolutely nailed and not lock up his tyres. He comes around the final corner here. He's looking pretty good at the minute to come across the line. He's currently P3, but I think he's going to improve that and probably be on the top step. And I'm not too sure because there are issues with the spectator cam, so if you could just find out, so that would be fantastic. And
He managed to improve, but he's managed to set 21.6 on his first flying lap, and I think at the moment he is fastest out there at the moment, but the race director unfortunately is kind of glitched as well.
Indeed, so we do apologise in advance. We did have some issues with Brojek trying to get into the lobby. Obviously it's his connection, so we do apologise. He is racing under the name, I'm trying to find it right now, of Eggy Simon 2 is the man who is Brojek, just to give you a heads up to you all. So hopefully Brojek will have his normal name back in the next round, of course, and obviously got a full season here. Do you just want to quickly run through the drivers quickly, whilst most people are back in the pits after their first round of their qualifying runs there, CRU, so let's go through them. So, who's at Mercedes?
Yeah, sure. So, first is Mercedes, and driving Mercedes is going to be the Flying Finn. Of course, he's the defending champion, 2-time champion, winning Season 12 and Season 13, so he's, I'm assuming, going to be the favourite, as he's back in his Mercedes for another season. And hopefully he's not going to be as dominant on these games, and we're going to have a really close championship. But joining him in that Mercedes is going to be Surprise Mare. He's a guy who showed pace here and there in Season 13, had a pole position, if I believe, in USA. So he's going to be a one to watch, I think, in terms of for the Red Bull team, we have ESR Orca and SDL All-Rounder. Now, I don't think Orca's been able to make it today, and he's going to be replaced by Eggy Simon, who is a reserve driver. And All-Rounder, a guy I'm not too familiar with, Ferrari is going to be, and I think this is going to be...
You may have, your microphone's gone again. I think you've got some issues there, mate. You may have to restart Discord, I'm afraid.
Okay.
You just sound like a robot on my end.
Right, okay. I'll try and sort it out now.
Yeah, that's no problem. As we're going to see some drivers heading out of the track then with 4 minutes to go in this first round. I think we're seeing a McLaren making his way out as well. I'm just going to quickly get the race director up so you guys can see who's coming on pole. And we've got SDL All-Rounder on pole position for this one, and no, okay, my timings have gone, so that's a little bit weird for me. This is the great thing of the spectator cam on F1 2017. It's good, but the timings are all over the place, saying that two people are 2 minutes. We're trying to find someone on the circuit, and we have got the man, I've got to say, is probably a contender for the championship this season, is Bam Lee in the Scuderia Ferrari, and hopefully he can bring some success for the Scuderia, apart from what happened in the Malaysian Grand Prix today in real life. So hopefully he will be up there fighting with the big boys as well. And a lot of people are going to see a bit of a good scrap here, I've got to say, between two drivers. Tyrrell Martin is one of them, who I rate very, very well in the Xbox side, along with Tyrrell Limitless, who is, I think he's just popped out. There he is, in the Toro Rosso this season, a car which is pretty good online. So we'll see how that one goes for him. As obviously a lot of people know him as the Padman. I think he's running a wheel this season, so we'll see if he is doing that, and does very well, and how he gets on. He takes a nice run through turn 1 and 2 and deploys the DRS straight away, as we've only got 2 odd minutes to go, so maybe JD's going for an early run here on his second stint, just to try and get some clean air, and runs a little bit wide there, but it could just be a connection issue for him as he's going through towards the start of the middle sector, and it looks pretty good, I've got to say, so far, as he's trying to keep it nice and clean. He obviously mentioned in his video he's going to put a lot of effort into this. He wants to win a championship. He wants to win a few. He wants to win some races this season, and I think he could. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we should be good for him to continue. Ciaro has just backed out, so he will be coming back in Discord very shortly. He has got an issue with Discord. So he'll be back. So it's just me for the moment, if anyone is interested. So we'll go on board with JD then, as he's going to go through the middle sector. And this is going to be very, very difficult for me to talk and try to just keep an eye on the stream, just make sure everything is okay for you guys. And we'll see as he's taking it a bit aggressive through this final sector then, and just lifts up a tiny bit there, coming into Prost, and he's going to hopefully not get affected by the Williams up ahead. Can't tell who that is, but I think he's too far away anyway to make get some dirty air for JD, as he's going to come up to the line. He's currently P2 on my screen. I don't think he's going to be there for too long, and no, he's dropped to 16th, so I do not know what the positions are. So we'll have to wait until the qualifying has been completed to see how we get on there. VBR Raikkonen, part of the F1 esports event last week as well, and we shall see how he gets on this season in the Pink Panther Force India. So we'll love to see how he is going to pan out tonight and for the whole season as well. We shall see how he does. Right now as he goes through, he's got a bit of traffic up ahead of him of, I think that's a Red Bull actually. I don't know who it is. I think it's Brozek, I think it is, obviously known as Eggy Simon. So of course just want to clear that one up there for anyone in the chat. Brozek originally on his original account had some issues getting into the lobby, so I think he's gone to a second account, so I do apologise on our end for that one. And I don't think VBR Raikkonen's going to get any form of dirty air, so he's going to come up to the line then with only 30 seconds left in qualifying. It's vital for these guys to get a decent lap on the board and get them in the top 10, because apparently from one of the races actually in the chat, there's a wet race. It's a full wet race, as we've got a driver retiring, and Brozek apparently is backed out and let VBR Raikkonen through, and he does retire from the session, so he is done for today. And we've got Bamley going through then in the Ferrari in the middle sector. Looks pretty strong at the minute. Don't know where he is position-wise, but we'll have to wait and see as Tiro Limitless now retires from the session. He is done. VBR Raikkonen now retires, as we're going to go on board then with... oh, geez, I'm not in the lobby. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Brozek. I thought it was you. I don't know who it is, but we'll see. See, everyone... I thought it was you, Brozek. I don't know if you didn't come in or not. I didn't know. No one tells me nothing, I tell you right there. But Bamley's coming into the last sector then, as it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on in this last corner then at Prost. And is he going to nail it? He does indeed, and comes round the final corner then, coming into the end of qualifying. Is he going to be on pole? We'll wait and see, as he's giving it everything he's got up to the line. Is it going to be pole? I'm not too sure. Apparently he's P6, so we're going to take that. We'll see how he goes on that one. And we'll see how he does, as Thierry Martin, now his teammate, is coming up then to end his qualifying then. He's done pretty well so far, as he's coming out into the last couple of corners then. Locks a little bit on the front right, but he nails it absolutely spot on as he comes round the final corner then. Is this going to be somewhere in the top 5 and maybe beat Bamley as well? We'll wait and see as he's going to come up to the line. And I think it's only 13th place there for Thierry Martin, which I wouldn't be surprised actually, considering he is well known to be quite quick in the Xbox League. We will see. And there is your official positions for qualifying, and it's the Flying Finn. Continue where he left off last season, on pole position by nearly 3/10 of a second with a 21 flat. NLR Evo in second place with Alonso in P3 in the Williams. And then we've got Mer in P4 in the Mercedes. Then we've got Joe in 5th, Bamley in 6th, Limitless in 7th, then Taylor in 8th, ESR Stone in 9th, and VBR Raikkonen complete your top 10. And the rest of your field will be on your screen right now, right there. And hopefully we'll get Ciaru back in. I will try and move him if he's actually online in Discord. I'll have to be a second, but we'll see how this one goes, as I would like to get him in just before the race starts. So we'll see how we get on there, as I need to quickly... Oh, we're going to get a warning there, of course. And it is a wet race. It is a wet race. So we'll see how we get on there. As I think it's a heavy rain race, so expect the unexpected here. So we'll wait and see how he does tonight. All these drivers actually are going to be finding this very, very, very interesting, this one. And hopefully Ciaru is going to be in, but I don't have the power to bring him in. I actually do now. Hello, he's back.
Oh, hello. Hopefully everything's going to be working well now. I've sort of reset everything, so hopefully I'm not sounding like a robot.
No, you're not. You're sounding good, actually. We've got a 4-wet race, if you didn't know. So it's going to be
very interesting.
Very, very tasty.
That blows the strategy out the window.
blows definitely the biggest strategies right there. And we'll see how this one goes. So let us know in the comments in the broadcast who you're rooting for this season and who do you think's going to win this race. Right there, there's no formation lap. We are going straight onto the grid for this race start. We've got a few seconds left. Again, frantically strategies all on the board. But here we go then. The lights are on for a new season of AOR, Season 14 in Xbox. We are racing here in Australia, and it's a decent start there from the Flying Finn, your pole sitter. And he's done very well. Look at the spray covering. Visibility is going to be absolutely treacherous into turn 1. But Finn holds it nicely and holds on to that lead of that Grand Prix, Ciaru. And looks like a clean start from everyone.
We've had a little bit of a bump at the back there. There is a Renault off the track there. I'm not quite sure who it is. But yeah, it did seem to be quite clean. But yeah, a bit of a moves around the back of the grid. Can't quite see who that was at the back there. But
we've got someone off. We've got someone off. Sorry to interrupt you there. A Force India spun in the background. We'll try and figure out who that one is shortly. But Alonso, the big charger, moves ahead of Evo and up to second place and is all over the back of the Flying Finn. So Alonso, who a lot of people thought he was, obviously he's the brother of the Flying Finn. So a little bit of brother versus brother rivalry here, which is what we want to see in Xbox as well. But Alonso, a great start off the line there.
Yeah, interestingly, a bit of a statistic here from the last 2 races that we had in Season 13. Alonso actually won, and they were both in wet conditions. So he looks like he's carried that speed over from the previous game, and he's really attacking his brother here, and he could challenge for the lead at this point.
Oh, indeed, as we're now watching Tyrrell Limitless, who's in P6, has a decent start. And we're going to go on board and just show you how difficult the visibility is for these drivers. It is absolutely treacherous. And of course, in F1, in the F1 leagues, there is no assist, so they've got no traction control, no ABS, no racing line. This is all going to come down to drivability and how they can manage it right there. But Taylor there in the pink Force India, a little bit lagging there, so that could cause a bit of distraction for Tyrrell Limitless as he actually runs right and actually made contact with JD. So I think Taylor may have to sort his connection out because this could cause an issue that JD had in the esports race at Suzuka, which cost him his front wing and cost him a chance of qualifying in London. And I think I can't remember who the Force India was, so we'll hope to clear that one up there. But at the front, and you can see it's just the 2 brothers putting away, and we've got a bit of a battle going on behind. We've got Meh trying to go around the outside of Evo in the Haas, and he's holding it off there, but battles all around the place, and that's actually brought Limitless back into contention as he did get past Taylor whilst we were on another camera angle. But looks pretty good, so I've got to say Meh, don't know who he is. I've never seen him before, but he looks pretty good so far in P4.
Yeah, he was actually in the previous game pretty good in the wet conditions as well. So, as we have a Force India off there, I think that's Taylor the Vol just managed to save it before, sort of past Maldonado and get in the wall there. So that could have very well have been Taylor the Vol that was having those issues in that Force India on that first lap. He seems to be a bit all over the place, but he's holding a decent position at the moment in P6 there. And one guy who is really struggling, actually, is Bam Lee. He's down in P9 here, so this is not what I expect from Bam Lee. I really thought he'd be right up there, but it seemed to have a decent qualifying in P6 there, but struggled off the line and through the first lap here, and he's lost 3 positions down to P9.
Indeed, I think Tyrrell Limitless is going for a move, and he's got it done on the inside of Mo, and he's up to P3, so JD on the move. What a start for him, and he's in the podium positions, and he's going to try and close the gap down right now to the 2 brothers of the Flying Finn and Alonso. So JD's looking absolutely rapid in the wet here, which is fantastic for a lot of fans in the chat supporting JD this evening. That's obviously fantastic for you guys, who are obviously big fans of him as well. But yeah, Bam Lee obviously qualified in the semi-finals, looked pretty good in the qualifying series, and he's down in 8th place. This is not where I would have expected him to be. But, you know, it could dry up. We don't know what the weather's going to be. We'll have to wait and see if it's going to dry up, or it is going to be a complete wet race. So I don't think anyone's going to be pitting in this Grand Prix. But you never know. Maybe some people may try and do like a cheeky undercut, have some fresh tyres in the wets. We don't know. As there's a battle going up ahead. I think that's Taylor about to be overtaken again. And he's actually held. I think that was. Is that Evo? Evo's got.
Yeah, Evo's had a issue there. I think he's really slow. He might have got some damage somehow. I'm not quite sure how he's managed to get down that far. He started in P2, so pretty disastrous race here. And if we looked at his last race in the esports league, where it was a wet race in Suzuka, he dominated that. So I'm pretty surprised that he's struggling as well. And he's locked up and he's going deep again. He's been overtaken. I think he's been dive bombed there, yeah, by Bam Lee, that was. So, yeah, Evo really struggling, and he might need to pit at this point because he is going very slow. He must have damage at this point.
Indeed. I think he made contact with Taylor. I think Taylor was trying to go on side by side with him, and I think a bit of lag contact might have been made and forced him off the circuit, and he tried to come back on safely. But yeah, bad disastrous start here for Evo, down the pecking order. I think Bamley, obviously, he can be aggressive, and obviously we want that. Want to see some great racing around. But look at this field here, and this is for like the last points paying position. They're all bunched up in a train. And this is going to get very tasty right here, I've got to say. But Bamley holding off RG, obviously the host of the lobbies, and in the Sauber. So he looks pretty good, actually. I've seen him race a few in some AOR social races that I've scoured the internet looking at some of these drivers before this broadcast. So I get a rough idea who they are. But we'll head up to the front of the field.
We have actually had a change of lead. Alonso's managed to get past the Flying Finn there. And we've got TR Limitless right behind. He was 9/10 a second of a lap faster than Alonso on that lap. So JD's on a real charge here. And he could very well get past the Flying Finn as well. I'm not quite sure how Alonso's managed to get past the Flying Finn, as I don't imagine it would be that easy to overtake in these conditions, as you've got no DRS, and the spray it must make it so difficult to see anything. But Alonso into the lead, and really, really solid start for the Williams driver.
Indeed, and one thing I wanted to bring up, Ciaru, obviously we've got the whole pad versus wheel debate around the forums recently, and which is best for which tracks. Of course, it varies on different circuits, and obviously with JD, it just assumes right there, if he is on a pad, that it just proves that this circuit, maybe even the wet as well, suits the pad over the wheel users.
It might do, actually. This is obviously the wet conditions sort of throw everything up in the air, and it does require a bit of a change of setup, maybe moving the ballast a bit more towards the front to induce a bit of understeer in the car. And but we also know that JD is a really, really good driver in the wet conditions. We saw that in the last game, and it looks like he's carried it over into this game. And maybe it's JD rather than the pad, but look how close it is up at the front. I think Flying Finn's passed his brother once again there, and then nose to tail the first three here.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. Three very, very talented drivers. Obviously, TR Limitless, obviously well known for the pad. Finn, a double world champion, and his brother wants to come out of the shadow and wants to try and beat his brother at obviously trying to win a championship. But I've got to say, Alonso, I've seen him obviously commentating the esports qualifying races. He is very, very talented young driver, and definitely want to keep an eye out for this championship. He could be a dark horse if he keeps up this pace, I've got to say. Behind them, though, you've got to say Meh. He's not that far away. He's only 2.5 seconds away from the race lead. So you never know. If the top three collide with each other, then obviously Mer can go through and take the Grand Prix. But the visibility on, it's just absolutely terrible. I would not like to be driving in these conditions. But you've got to say Taylor as well. Yes, he's 5 seconds away, but with the lag as well, it doesn't really help him, give him a bit of confidence again, like being side by side with a car. But apart from that, he's doing a stellar job. He's putting away from VBR Raikkonen behind him, P6, who's got quite a few drivers now all behind him. So I think VBR Raikkonen's going to have a bit of a hashtag train going on right now, as there's about 3 cars, 2 Ferraris in there, Bamley, and also, is it? Yes, it is, Bamley and TR Martin as well. And also ESR Stone as well. And this is going to be quite interesting. We'll go to Joe in P11 in the Renault, and he's not far away from RG Mattis, and he's not that far away from a points finish. But I think some of these guys who are new to the F1 league, they just want to finish the race, get a bit of experience, and then develop themselves throughout the season. We've got Stu, who actually recommended UCO to join me in the booth, so you can give him a bit of a shout out.
Absolutely.
For him, and he's doing well in P12, keeping it nice and cool at the minute. I think some of these drivers may try and preserve the tyres and just make them go as long as possible in this race. It can be done a no-stop round here in the wet, but obviously it's down to how they can preserve the rear tyres, because they get quite a beating around here out of the slow corners here, Ciaru.
Yeah, I'd imagine it would be very difficult to do a no-stop race, and I'd imagine that they'd be trying the one-stop, trying to pit basically in the middle of the race. We have had one pit stop already, and that is NLR Evo, and I'm guessing that was because of some sort of front wing damage, but his only real chance here is to take it to the end of the race here, really preserve his tyres, because he's essentially a pit stop down now. There's no safety car either that can help him get back into the race, so he's going to have to pull some sort of a blinder here. He has got excellent pace in the wet, as we saw in the esports race, so maybe he can pull something out, but not brilliant for him so far. A couple of penalties as well for corner cutting. I think we've had lockdown and all-round with corner cutting penalties quite early on in the race here. So they're going to have a watch out there. Taylor the Vol's had one as well, so that's 3 seconds for him. But other than that, no major crashes.
Which is pretty good, actually, I've got to say. That's what we want to see. A few couple of penalties. Obviously, Australia is well known for penalties, so I think we may get a couple tonight in this race. But if you want to get involved, guys, with the broadcast, then use the hashtag AOR, AOR Xbox to get yourselves on the broadcast through Twitter if you want to get a shout out as well, and let us know who you're supporting as well. We may have a driver of the day vote as well at some point. We shall see if someone very kindly in the chat will make one for me. I'll be fantastic. But Flying Finn still leads then in the Mercedes and get a great shot there. But he's actually putting away as here comes Thierry Limitless going down the inside of Alonso. And is he going to hold it? Not the best camera view here, to be honest with you. And he stays behind Alonso. So Alonso been a bit under pressure here from Thierry Limitless as the Flying Finn's starting to pull away a little bit. And for JD, we know he's quick in the wet. He's got to get past Finn's brother here if he's got a chance to win this Grand Prix. He's got to keep an eye as well on Mare behind as well in that Mercedes.
Yeah, we've got a gaggle of cars from P6 downwards. There's a bit of side-by-side action here. We've got Bamley and Tyrrell Martin trying to get their way around Taylor the Vol, I think it is. Well, VBR Raikkonen. Stone's managed to find his way past and he's pulled away. I think Raikkonen's really struggling at this point in these wet conditions. Bamley's managed to get past there. We've got more side-by-side action there. I think it's Martin getting overtaken there by Matthias, yeah. So Matthias has made his way up through the field there. I'm pretty surprised by him. He was a guy that I was really thinking was going to be in contention for the win, but on the previous game he was not the best in the wet conditions, but looks like he's found his feet now and he's making his way up the field. I'm quite shocked by Tyrrell Martin as well. He didn't have the best qualifying, qualified in 13th place, and I think he's looking to just finish this race, in all honesty. I don't think Australia is one of his favourite tracks, but I guess he's in the points so far. That's one positive he can take.
Oh, indeed. Obviously, I think for some of these newbies, I think that a point will be like a race win for them in this race. As Lee having a little bit of a drift there, and Tyrrell Martin actually in the background. Looks like a cheeky move was going to happen there on Mattis, so in the McLaren Honda. Obviously, these cars are all equal performance, so you won't see a McLaren being lapped in this Grand Prix, I'm afraid. So they're all equal performance, and he's doing very well to hold off Tyrrell Martin. I'm actually surprised to see Tyrrell Martin down the pecking order in this race. I would expect them to be in the top 5 at least, but it just shows you how competitive the Xbox F1 League is this season, Ciara, and that's what we want to see.
Yeah, it's really surprising. Of course, Martin is a champion as well. We've also got Bam Lee down the order. He's an AOR champion as well. So yeah, it's really, really close here. And I guess the full wet conditions sort of mixed up the pecking order, but it looks like things are starting to settle down now. Gaps are starting to form. The front three have sort of spaced themselves out compared to how they were before. Finn's trying to pull a bit of a gap, I think, to his brother. And yeah, gaps are starting to form.
Oh, indeed. And I think some of the drivers may be just taking a little bit cautious now. Obviously, the field's spreading out all over the place. But there is a battle up ahead here of this one that I'm seeing right now of Thierry Martin trying to get past Metis. I'm going to try and find where it is. It's Stone, I think, leading this pack in P6, but he's going to get a lot of pressure from Bam Lee, who we know likes to go for that gap. If it's open, he's going to go for it. And he's also got VBR Raikkonen behind as well, so don't count him out yet for P6 in this race. Yeah, I think some of these drivers may also be saving a little bit of fuel as well behind the car ahead of them, and just stay behind them, save some tyre wear, and go as long as possible on these sides. I don't even think it's going to... the rain's going to ease off and maybe light rain, we don't know at this point, as obviously one feature that would be nice to have in spectator cam is find out what the weather is for the Grand Prix, as well as like live standings. And apparently there's a little cheeky thing Lee Maver tweeted out that we could be potentially seeing something like this in a future update, which would be absolutely fantastic for us, for you guys to get a bit more like you're watching a real Grand Prix race. So we'll see how that one pans out. But ESR Stone P6, and he's trying to catch up actually to the Force India up ahead of him with Taylor, who is doing pretty well. He's keeping the pace up, and we've got a little bit of Bamley applying the pressure. He's in a bit actually, he's trying to put pressure on Stone, but he's got pressure from behind as well of VBR Raikkonen, and also Mattis is actually catching up, as VBR Raikkonen actually has retired from the Grand Prix. I don't know what's happened to him. He's ghosted, I think. It may just be a drop in connection, so he's the first man to retire from the Grand Prix, and that's going to have a little bit of an effect there on Mattis, but he gets through past the ghosted car, and obviously that is a disappointment for Raikkonen to retire in the first round.
Yeah, it's quite a shame. He was running in a decent position, didn't seem to quite have the pace of the cars around him, but he was in the points nonetheless. Maybe he can get back in, and that is a feature in this game. So I think that option's there for him, but it is a big shame for him. That is not what you want in your first race. You want pretty much a carefree race just to gain a bit of experience, but yeah. And he's just dropping down the order from here on out with his AI driving. So yeah, bad news for Raikkonen there.
Indeed, and I don't know if you can see it as well, but the track, there's not a lot of standing water on the circuit, so potentially it could be light rain maybe in the works, and maybe some intermediates maybe coming up, not now, but in the next 10 laps potentially on there. And how would you, as a driver, see on the circuit right now? Would you be contemplating whether to put inters on at this point, or wait maybe 5 laps and wait for Jeff to pop on the blower and say, yep, intermediate time? What would you be doing in this situation right now?
Well, I think the rain has definitely visibly lightened, but the thing you'd be most looking for is the temperature on your tyre indicators as well as the lap time. I think if the lap time starts to drop and your tyre temperatures increase, you'll be sliding around a bit, and that would suggest to me that it is time for the inters. Jeff would come on the radio and tell you that it would be time for inters, but in this game, I think he is a little bit unreliable, as Codemasters have implemented a more unpredictable weather system. So I think it's really just about feel, how the tyres feel at the moment, and other than that, I guess it's pretty much a guessing game.
Oh, indeed. Oh, and Finn nearly loses it there onto the back straight. Oh, that was very close there. Don't do that, Finn. We want to see a battle going on between you and your brother. And also, Tyrrell Limitless as well. I think he's starting now to realise it's a bit too early. We're not even half distance yet. Just back off a little bit and stay behind Alonso. And we could be seeing some of these guys pitting for inters shortly.
Yeah, we have actually had Jason in the pits. He's come out on the intermediate tyre, so he's going to be the guinea pig. He will be seeing if he can up the pace here. And we have actually had Martin's pitted as well onto the inters. Stu's also pitted onto the inters. So it does look like it's starting to become that switchover period. Maybe it's too early at this point in time, but I'll have to keep a look at this race director to see what the sector times are. So far, Martin's done a decent first sector. And his middle sector's all right as well. It's I guess you'll have to get used to the tyres at the moment, but they don't seem to be too far off the pace from the full wet, so it could very well switch over to inters pretty soon.
Oh, indeed. This is what we mean. We had this in the esports race, and it's good to see as well. He's got Evo behind him as well, who's also on the wet tyres actually. So this is going to be a nice comparison to see which tyre is the best one to be on at this point. At the minute, it seems, as you said, Martin's keeping the pace up to Evo, which is pretty impressive, I have to say, as he's starting to build a little bit of a gap. I think it's nearly on par with intermediate conditions, but I think the wets are probably the best option for now, as we've got a couple of yellow flags out on turn 1, which has been cleared. So I think that's going to probably most likely be VR Raikkonen's ghosted car going very slowly at the front. So we'll take you through as actually Martin loses it out of turn 2, and unfortunately he's going to lose a position here to Evo, and Evo up to 16th place. So I think Martin maybe he's gone a lap earlier than usual, I would have said. Maybe a couple of laps. But we'll see if he can hold off the back there of the Haas of Evo, as Cal has retired from the session as well. So that's a bit of disappointment for him. A lot of people were asking where he was. You now know he's out of the Grand Prix, which is a shame as well. But at the front, it's still neck and neck between the top 3. Still in within a camera shot there, about 1.5 seconds. I'm probably going to guess what the gap is at the minute, and looks like Alonso is coming back at his brother here, so this could be very interesting between the two there. But if I was the top 3, or even, the top 3, I would probably stay out as long as possible. They've got to just follow each other's strategies, haven't they?
Yeah, one of them could attempt an undercut here. We have seen in Season 12 that actually staying out cost the drivers. Remember, Tyrrell Limitless stayed out far too late, and it actually allowed a couple of guys to undercut him. So at this point, Finn has actually set the quickest lap last time round, so it does seem to be that the times are dropping. So it may be switching over to the intermediate period, but again, it just doesn't seem to be the case. In the esports race around China, I think it took a very long time for it to properly get wet and then dry out. So it might be a very long time before it actually dries out and goes on to intermediates.
Indeed, we'll just quickly go through the top order right now for a lot of people. A lot of people are asking where everyone is, so we'll just go very quickly. We've got the Flying Finn and the Mercedes leading the Grand Prix. Then we've got Alonso there in P2, and then Tyrrell Limitless just behind him in P3. Then we've got Meh in P4, and then we've got ESR Stone in P5. Behind him is Bam Lee in P6, which you can just see in the background there. Then we've got Mattis in P7 in the McLaren Honda, all on his own at the minute. Then we've got Joe in P8, and also on his own as well. And then we've got Taylor in P9, who has pitted for the intermediate tyres. So he's going to try and go for the gamble right now. He looks okay at the minute. Runs a little bit wide. Come on to the back straight there. Then we've got Lockdown in P10. And he's got a bit of a gaggle of cars behind him of All-Rounder and Langman 17 in the Renault as well. So that's going to look like a tasty battle for that final points-paying position. Then we've got Martin in P13. And he's trying to make a recovery drive from pitting a little bit earlier than usual. VBR Raikkonen in 14th. Obviously, he's retired from the Grand Prix. Stu has pitted for the intermediate, so he will jump ahead of VBR Raikkonen. And Evo classified, I think, in last... Oh, no, he's not, actually. He's in 16th, and he's got Jason behind him in P17. And then we've got Eggy in the final position in P18. So, I've got to say, look at the top three again. They're getting ever closer. This could be very interesting right now.
Yeah, again, just looking at the times here, I don't think it is time to switch over to the inters yet. The full wet seems to still be working. Martin's about a second a lap slower than the Flying Finn, as we've had another car into the pits there. Who's a Sauber there. I'm not quite sure who that was, but they're assuming they've switched over to the intermediate tyres. I think that was ESR Stone. Just check what sort of tyres he's on. Yeah, he's on the intermediates. Again, I think it's slightly too early, just checking the race director. And again, I think this top three are doing... I guess the best strategy in staying out and just battling each other. I guess it's going to be the first one to blink, and who's really going to decide this race here.
Indeed, and I just want to give a massive shout out to Dan Hawkins in the chat, Mr. AOR himself. It is his birthday today, so I just want to wish, on behalf of myself and Ciara, happy birthday. And everyone in the chat, please put a hashtag happy birthday, Dan. He's done a lot of work into the AOR, of course, doing the esports series. He did a lot of effort into that. So happy birthday, Dan, and hopefully we can give you a good race for this very special day for you. So great to have you in the chat as always. And
Bam Lee's lagging everywhere. I thought he crashed there. Sorry for interrupting you there. He was all over the track and hit the wall a little bit there, but he's lagged back onto the track there. And that was a little bit of a scary moment. He's doing pretty well though at the moment, P5, and he's still out on the full wets there. But yeah, that was a bit of a scary moment there.
It scared me there. I was like, being all nice, and he just come over the mic like, oh, there's an incident. Oh dear, what's going on? Right there. So at the front note, it's getting close here. I would love to go down the rest of the field, but this is the battle right now. For basically the podium right now. Who's going to be on the top step? Who's going to be in second? Who's going to be on that bottom step right there? We'll wait and see who it is, but let's see what you guys think in the chat. Make sure to leave a comment on who you think is going to win this Grand Prix between the Finn, Alonso and TR Limitless. I'd love to read a few of you out in the YouTube chat. And also make sure to tweet us as well at the hashtag AOR Xbox if you want to get a mention on the broadcast as well. But you've got to say as well, you've got to say Mayor as well. He's not far away from these guys, and I think he's taking it a little bit cautiously right now. So you've got to count him out as a potential here candidate for a podium if something happens. Right there. And of course we've got the driver of the day vote as well. That'll be coming at around about lap 19, lap 20 will open the votes. So if you want to get your driver voted for, we'll announce the winner straight after the Grand Prix, and that'll be done by Serene Logic in the chat. We want to give a shout out to him for providing us with the driver of the day vote right there. But Bamley holding on very nicely in P5 at the minute, but he has got Mattis behind him now, closing him in very slowly but surely.
We've had a change for P2 there. TR Limitless has got himself past Alonso, and they both dive into the pits, as well as the Flying Finn as well. Yeah, so all of them reacting to the change in the conditions here. And I'm assuming they're all going to be going on to the intermediates here. Probably not going to have any sort of change in position unless someone manages to jump someone in the pits. But TR Limitless getting his tyres changed. And he has been jumped by Alonso there. It's unfortunate for JD there. But
it's a shame, but it happens in this race, and he's actually jumped Alonso.
Never mind. Yeah, that was just lag once again.
It was lag.
Sorry about that.
So we do apologise. The spectator cam can give us a little bit of a few glitches, but Limitless ahead of Alonso. We didn't catch that on camera, unfortunately, but he's actually. You can see the gap now between himself and the Flying Finn. It's about a couple of seconds. So Finn had a good pit stop there compared to Alonso and Limitless. Of course, JD did get held up, unfortunately. So we'll just read quickly the chat. people unanimously are voting right now for TRL Limitless to win this Grand Prix. And Broshek comes in saying, "Must be Broshek for driver of the day." Yeah, I would agree, Broshek. You're in the chat. You're contributing in the chat very nicely. So yeah, you're definitely contender, mate, for driver of the day, definitely. Right there. Dan's Tech has just put in the chat saying Flying Finn is really good at defending from what I've seen. Remember the bar in esports rates, I reckon he will hold on. Of course, that'd be good. I do agree with him. I think out of the field, I think Finn is probably one of the best at defending, I've got to say. Would you agree with me there?
Yeah, he's actually one of those guys he's fair, but he is very difficult to get past. So especially in these conditions, he's going to be very, very tricky to get past. And pretty much, if he's in the lead, he's going to stay there, as I know from racing him. So once the other guys pit, he will have that net lead. But yeah, he's going pretty strong so far. But he has got Limitless catching right behind, and we have seen a couple of fastest laps set by the likes of VSR Stone and Evo, who are on the Inters. So I think the top three have played the strategy to absolute perfection here, and they've switched over at the right time possible. The guys who pit quite early onto these Inters may struggle to get them to the end of the race here, so they might have to look after their tyres, but the top three are going to have, I'm assuming, no trouble in getting their tyres to the end of the race.
Indeed, and we see Mayer coming out of the pits as well, and he's been overtaken actually by Taylor. So Taylor, who pitted earlier, is now up to P4, so that's not too bad from Taylor actually, doing the undercut, but as you mentioned, he's got to manage these tyres now to the end of the race. We may even see dry conditions potentially at the end of the race. It's a slim chance because it is brightening up on the screen, so there is a chance, but I doubt it will. I think maybe we're going to get another intermediate pit stop for some of these guys, unless they can manage them absolutely beautifully. Someone in the chat has just recently put, I've got to say it's a great one, from Geordie, one of my moderators, goes, Ciaro for Robot of the Day, and I think I agree with you there, Geordie. So but luckily we've had no technical issues since he came back, which is fantastic, and we can hear his beautiful voice right now. And a question from Reese Benjamin. I think this would be good for you, Ciaro, to answer this one. How much faster are the Inters going compared to the wet tyres? What difference in terms of number of seconds as the Inters have got over the wets, roughly?
I'd expect about 5 seconds, but as it's in these sort of changeable conditions at the moment, where there's you can sort of work it on both tyres, we're seeing that it's a second either way. So, but once it does get to light rain conditions, I'd expect the lap times to come tumbling down by maybe 4 or 5 seconds, and yeah.
We'll see as Finn. Oh, there's a little bit of a drift up the last corner. Limitless is putting away from Alonso, so maybe Alonso's not feeding these intermediates just yet, or maybe getting them up to temperature. But JD's only 1.6 seconds away, and we've still got 13 laps to the Grand Prix right there. And Rose Shank wants to know why you're not racing, Ciaro. I wonder if you want to clear that one up there for the viewers, because I think a lot of people were expecting you to sign up for this season, and you shouldn't be in the commentary, if I'm honest, because I think you're quite a good driver. So if you just want to clear that up for the viewers right now, that'll be fantastic.
I guess it really comes down to that I don't really have the motivation. I don't really seem to enjoy racing like I once did, and I guess I've got other priorities in life at the moment. And but I can still join you guys in the commentary box. Not quite the same, and yeah, hopefully you guys are happy to see me in the commentary box. Can't quite keep the motivation going for racing, and I don't think I'd have been very good actually if I'd have joined this league. But yeah, that's just the reason really. No real motivation, but yeah, joining you for this season, and it should be really good.
Oh, indeed, and we can just see that Limitless is closing in on Finn. Not by much, but slowly. He's gained 4 attempts on this lap, and actually Finn's run a little bit wide, actually. So that's going to bring in JD very close. This is going to be under a second here. If there was DRS, it would be enabled right now. But of course, it's wet, so it's a bit unsafe for the drivers, but he's actually gaining so much time here on the Flying Finn. Maybe he's gone a little bit aggressive, Finn. Maybe put up Rich Mix and just was a little bit aggressive. But the gap now is clearly, as you can see, under a second right now. And would he bottle it is the question. We'll wait and see, as he's actually now half a second behind the race leader is JD. He's gained nearly a second on that last lap. Impressive pace here from the Toro Rosso man. And they're both putting away now from Alonso, sadly. And I think his chances of victory have just gone out the window. And it's now becoming a 2-horse race with nearly 10 laps to go.
Yeah, I'm really, really impressed by JD's pace here. He's just closing down the flying fin, which is really not an easy thing to do. And I think he's with a real good shot of winning this race. And what a start to the season that would be for him after going a very, very long time without winning a race. I think the last time he won a race was season 10 in Brazil. And that's a very, very long time ago. And he'll be so hungry for a win at this point. And to battle the double world champion and the reigning champion and to beat him, that will be so satisfying for him. So he's going to want this so bad. And he's right on the back of Finn at the moment. I'm not sure he's going to be in with a chance of overtaking into this fast left-right chicane. He'll probably wait for an opportunity down the front straight. But yeah, he's so close at the moment to the flying Finn.
Indeed. Watching a battle here for P4, Taylor and, I'm going to say this properly because a lot of people are saying I'm doing it wrong, Suffrise. I'm probably going to get that wrong. I do apologise for the pronunciation of names. I am new to the Xbox. It's been since Season 6 since the last time I was over here, so I am trying to learn names. So I do apologise. But he's having a good battle here with Taylor in the Force India. And I think Taylor doing a stellar job, actually, considering with the lag issues he had at the start of the race. You've got to say he's done he's impressed me, but he has got a bit of issue with fuel. You can see the yellow fuel light has come on, so he has burned up his excess fuel. So he has to save a little bit of fuel at some point, but he can't really when he's got a Mercedes all over the back of him there. So that battle looks going to be very, very tasty. We'll see. We're going to go back and see Bam Lee in P7 holding off Mattis. So there's some battles up and down the field, of course, and you can see behind them you've got Thierry Martin trying to catch up as well. In P9, and he's got the ghosted VBR Raikkonen, so you would have thought it would be Taylor, but of course it isn't. It's his teammate, unfortunately, right there. And Joe behind as well. He's going to slowly catch up to Martin as possible. He is holding on in that last points paying position. He's got a nice gap as well to Stu, who's just coming through turn 2, so he's got about 4-second gap. So if Joe can do well and continue his good pace here, he's going to be on for some points.
Yeah, I think for Taylor, he's actually managed to get himself 2 penalties here, so he is under pretty hard attack from the Mercedes of Surprise Mare. But it's not really going to matter at the moment, as Langman retires. Not quite sure what happened to him there, but it's not going to matter for Surprise if he can't get past Taylor, because Taylor will have about 6 seconds worth of penalties. So he's shown a decent pace at the moment. He's obviously in P4, but he's been a bit lax with his track limits, and that's going to cost him positions come the end of the race.
Oh, indeed, and we could back up with the leaders, actually, as JD breaks very late into the penultimate corner and actually gains a little bit of time to the flying Finn. I'm going to quickly jump on board with Tierra Limitless because really Finn didn't really give me a good camera angle there. But look how close it is, and Alonso in the background there, maybe just backing off, maybe as he wants to try and wait for a late charge. We've now got 10 laps to go in the Grand Prix. The gap is only 3.5 tenths between these two guys, and of course be great for Thierry Limitless to win. He hasn't won, as you mentioned, I think since Brazil, and I think season 10 I think it was, and he's opened a little chance there of an overtake, but just wanted to see what the flying Finn would react to that. And of course we saw Finn with an amazing battle in the esports series as well, with like the likes of Bam Lee, so we know he's going to put up a fight here, and this is what we want to see for a cracking first round.
Yeah, I think JD's best opportunity is into turn 3 there. He did take a little look the last lap and the lap before that, so he's lining Finn up, but it just seems to be that Finn is just that little bit later on the brakes than JD, and he can't quite chuck it up the inside. But if he maintains this pressure on the flying Finn, maybe, and I say maybe, he will make a mistake, but we know he's a very, very consistent driver, and yeah, JD's just got to mount the pressure as much as he can at this point and hope for a mistake, or just try a sort of do or die move up the inside here. He has got a decent run out of that chicane, but again, I think his best opportunity is to wait into turn 3 and really chuck it up the inside there.
Indeed, and we've actually got Langman in the chat now, who's just clarifying why he retired. He says, when you have an orange front wing and the pit crew don't change it. I've experienced that on this game, so I do feel for you, Langman, but good to see in the chat as well. As I'm just jumping on board with Thierry Limitless in the cockpit cameras, he runs very wide, nearly into the wall there, and that was very, very, very close there. I think a little bit of poo may have come out of Thierry Limitless's back end there, I've got to say. He would have been, we know JD, he can go a bit too aggressive, as we saw in the esports races, of course. We picked up a puncher on the last lap in Bahrain, but that was very, very close to ending it there completely, and that would have been a disastrous start for Thierry Limitless here.
Yeah, fortunately for him, it doesn't seem to have lost him a whole lot of time. He's really still nailed to the back of the Flying Finn's gearbox, and I think I do hope it's only going to be a matter of time for JD to make a move on the Flying Finn. It's so difficult to actually mount an attack without DRS, especially in the rain, because you've got the reduced slipstream from the previous game, and also you've got the implementation of dirty air. So I'm really surprised that JD is managing to keep up with the Flying Finn at this sort of gap, because the dirty air is really heavy on this game, and it's actually quite difficult to keep within a second of the guy ahead.
Oh, indeed, and indeed as well. We'll go and see the battle for P4 between Taylor and Suffrise. Again, if I get that wrong, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear that. And good little scrap, as I got to say, for 4th place outside the podiums. But who cares? These guys having a great battle as well. And we'll try to go through as much as possible. We've got to focus on the leaders, though, as well, because that is a big battle going on for the race win, of course. So at the minute, Taylor holding on, luckily, just. Stone in P6 in the Sauber. If I'm honest, he's on his own, so he's going to try and bring the car home as well. He's got a nice gap behind him from Bamley, about 2.5 seconds, as Bamley obviously not showing the true pace that we saw in the esports race. And then he's got Mattis behind him. He's closing in a little bit, though. He's about just over a second behind. And then Tyrrell Martin in P9. He's starting to get a bit under pressure from Joe in the Renault. He's closing in by about a couple of attempts a lap here, so definitely about to keep an eye on it. And he's on the wet tyres, actually, Ciaru. So that's interesting to see if his strategy on the wets works in these conditions. I think it's a bit of a bad call here, but you never know, it could work. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it seems to be that there's gaps throughout the field, and the only real battles at the moment are between Surprise Mare and Taylor, and of course the battle for the lead between the Flying Finn and TRL Limitless. The rest of the guys are just going to be trundling around, having a pretty boring race here. But back at the front, we've got Tyrrell Limitless right behind the Flying Finn once again, as we've seen for so many laps now. And I think he's going to be the closest he's been yet. And I think he's going to be attempting. Oh, he's taking a look at this point, but he's so close. Surely he's going to be chucking it at the inside of the next corner.
Oh, indeed, and look how close he is as well. He looks like a little bit of a drift there, but he's A-OK right now, and he's going to look. He looks like he was going to go out there for a move, but he's going to stay behind him. And this is what we want. What a cracking way to kick off Season 14 of AOR with two of the, I will say now, the veterans now. These guys are basically... And he's going for the move down the inside. A little bit of contact made between Finn and TRL Limitless there. But to be fair, he didn't really go again and just push Finn out the way. But that is what we want to see. Respect from both of them right there. And look at Limitless. He's getting very close. Getting the slipstream. He's going to pull out then. He's going to try and go around the outside going into turn 1. Is he going to get it done? No. Finn amazingly defends brilliantly there, and JD has a little bit of a lock up the front line, but Finn's run wide, and here comes Limitless. They're going to be side by side, coming towards turn 3. Is JD going to hold it around the outside? We're about to find out here, and he's outbraked the Flying Finn, and he's done it. He's gone round the outside, but Finn's coming back. Bit of contact between the two of them. Oh, what a great battle this is. They're still going side by side through turn 4, and JD has taken the lead. What battling that is.
That was a brilliant sequence of corners there, side by side, really on the limit there. I think maybe Finn will be a bit irked about that, as he was, I guess, a little bit shoved. But I think that was hard but fair. And yeah, really good move there by Tyrrell Limitless, all set up by that little dive bomb into the penultimate corner that set Finn slightly offline, gave JD a better exit out of the final corner. And that really gave him a better exit out of turn 1 once again, as Finn defended the inside line there and finally managed to get past around turn 4. So, yeah, brilliant there. And I think JD has shown better pace throughout, just trying to keep with Flying Finn and eventually overtake him. But I think from here, I'll expect JD to pull away at this point.
Oh, indeed. And the chat is absolutely blowing up right now for JD. Oh, my gosh. It is blowing up right now. Everyone's excited for that one. Nigel's trying to get his Driver of the Day vote in, so please make sure to vote for that, as we will announce the winner at the end of the Grand Prix. So just a bit of a heads up there for voting for who you think deserves Driver of the Day. I've got a few contenders already right now, but that has got to be probably one of the best battles I've seen. Well, overtakes going, what, 4 corners side by side, basically. What a cracking start to the season. And he's going to have to try and hold off Finn here. Maybe Finn's going to try and do what he did in Bahrain, save fuel at the start and then put it up to Rich Mix and burn the excess fuel. And actually, if you think about it, because of that battle they had, Alonso is only 2 seconds away. So he's thinking now, this is my chance. Let's charge right now. As Cow has left the session, of course he retired anyway. Right now, would you like to just let us know about the penalties right now? Update of penalties with only 6 laps to go. Maybe Finn and Limitless have got penalties. We'll wait and find out. So, have you got them, Ciari, for us?
Yep, just taking a look now. I did check before, and I think it was Limitless has managed to get himself 1 warning, so no penalties there, and the Flying Finn 1 warning as well. So they've got 2 warnings in hand here that they can sort of use up. So Alonso's got himself, just managed to get himself a penalty now, just on this lap, which is unfortunate for him. But I think he's got enough of a gap over Surprise Mate, who's battling really hard with Taylor at this moment in time. And Surprise also got himself a penalty, so it's very difficult in these conditions to keep it within the white lines. And now Taylor's managed to get himself 3 penalties there, so that's going to be 9 seconds of penalties. That's really going to cost him. And yeah, pretty much all of these drivers, except for the Flying Finn and TR Limitless, have got themselves penalties. And RG Matiz hasn't got himself a penalty. Neither has TR Martin, but pretty much everyone down the field has managed to get themselves some sort of penalty.
Oh, indeed, and we've only got 5 laps to go at the Grand Prix. We see someone popping out of the pits there. I think that's a Force India. I think it could be VBR Raikkonen's ghost car. But the battle up front, though, as they're both now they're not fighting with each other, starting to pull away again from Alonso right now. So this is going to get very, very exciting right now. And the votes are coming in already, which is great to see. Make sure to vote for your driver of the day. You've got till when the first driver crosses the line, basically, and then we'll close the votes. And obviously, we would like to speak to some of the drivers at the end. So I did have a little word with JD for a possible interview. And he did say, depending on how the race goes, he may pop in for a cheeky one. And obviously, we know the Flying Finn will most likely come in because he's a regular now in the interview booth. So we'll see how that one's. He locks up a little bit there and clips the curb a little bit there. He's got to be very careful on the exits here because these curbs on the gate on this new game can be treacherous.
Yeah, especially in these wet conditions, it's going to be basically no grip out there, and the traction is going to be really difficult. But cutting onto this battle between Bamley and ESR Stone, he's managed to claw his way back in it. I think he's found his feet with these intermediate tyres, and he's pressuring the back of ESR Stone here. These drivers have been in the past notorious for lagging, and I have seen already that Bamley has been lagging about in the spectator cam. Hopefully it's different for the guys on track here, but these guys are going to have to be careful to avoid any sort of incident here. But yeah, Bamley's really pressuring Stone here, and it looks like he'll be challenging for that P6 eventually.
Oh, indeed. We're going to go on board with the Ferrari. We will be going back up to the leaders very shortly, as we've got a few laps to go here. But the battle at the minute is for P6 between Stone, Bamley, and also you've got to say as well, Matt is behind in the McLaren. He's holding back a little bit here. He's only about maybe a second behind Bamley in that McLaren. The beautiful orange striped, oh, it's just a beautiful livery, I've got to say. It's great to see it all in glory in orange and black. Probably one of the best liveries out there, but you've got to say the Tauros is probably the best in my opinion. But VBR Raikkonen, a little bit of distraction there for Bamley as Mattis has actually closed the gap a little bit. But going quickly down the rest of the field, you've got that battle for P6. Joe holding on in P9. Pretty stellar job for him in the banana. And then we've got Stu now in the points as he's actually overtaken NLR Evo in the Haas. So Stu looking pretty good there for a 1 point in this race. Tierra Martin's actually dropped to P12. So I don't know what's happened to Martin unless he's pitted for a new fresh set of intermediates. We'll have to see, and I think Jason's pitted as well. He's 47.
Yeah, Martin has actually pitted again for another set of intermediates. So I don't think he could take his intermediates to the end there. And yeah, he's the only one who's pit again. VBR Raikkonen's Ghost Car has pit again, and Evo obviously pit very early on and had to switch over to Inters after that. But yeah, Martin, I think I guess because he's so far down, he's trying something different. Maybe this is going to pay off for him. Maybe the other guys ahead will get punctures. Maybe their tyres are going to the end of their life, and or maybe Martin's just not been able to look after his tyres. So either way, there's only a couple of laps left in the race, and this is not the ideal start for Martin at all. I was really putting him up for contention for the race win round here. But yeah, I mean, I guess it shows that the grid is so close here, and these conditions are really difficult if you're not on it.
Indeed, and one thing I want to bring up that I don't want to say, because obviously it'll be commentator's curse. I bet JD will be thinking right now, please, for the love of God, don't get a puncher on the last lap of this race. I've got a feeling, with some guys pitting, obviously, for intermediates again, maybe that tyre wear is going to come into a factor here once again. Obviously, they've probably set their cars up. We'll never know if they have. We'll wait and see at the end of the race and speak to them about setups here. If they went for a wet one in qualifying and went for a dry one to get them up the field, that's going to be a question for some of the drivers here. But you've got to say, Limits is doing pretty well for his. He's taking it very cautiously out the corners. He's not applying the throttle, as you can see the throttle inputs there on the bottom right hand of your screen right there. He's taking it very cautiously. A little bit of a drift there for JD at the corner. So again, as I mentioned, the commentator's curse is struck once again. It may happen again, which I don't want.
Yeah, in terms of setup, I think Tyrrell Limitless really likes a rather understeery setup, and that does help in these wet conditions. So it also, when you have a ballast more towards the front, seems to help a bit with tyre wear. So that hopefully can help him a little bit there. But he's not going to want to see a repeat of Bahrain there and in the Esports League, because that would be just a disaster for him. I think he's going to be able to hang on though at this point. We have seen Martin set the fastest lap just on his fresh set of intermediates, but I think at this point it's too far gone for him. And Finn doesn't seem to be closing up too much onto the back of JD, and I think onto the penultimate lap now. I think, again, don't want to commentators cursing, but JD does look very strong for this win.
Oh, indeed. We've only got, as you said, 2 laps to go. Can JD hold off the Flying Finn and win the first race of the season? It'll be a massive boost for him after what happened last week at Suzuka, and he didn't get through to the esports qualifying round, I believe, right there. So it's going to be very intriguing, this one. And
speaking of punctures and tyre life, Stu has managed to get himself a rear right puncture there. I'm not sure how. Maybe that was some sort of contact, but off into the gravel there. It's so difficult on this game to drive when you've got a puncture, especially in these wet conditions. It's just almost impossible. He's going to have to pit here. He's going to be completely out of contention for points, which is a shame, because he said to me before the start of the race he would be thinking himself lucky to even get points, and he was running at the sort of back end of the points, but that's just desperate for him. And pitting onto these I guess a fresh set of inters, he's going to be right near the back of the grid. Such a shame there.
Well, he can always go fastest lap, that's always a positive for him, could be a chance. But here comes JD then, still holding off the Flying Finn. Got to say, Alonso's there, still holding on. He's only 2 seconds away, but you never know. We could see what happened when the Finn and Limitless had a battle for for the cheeky lead. So he's not out yet, but he's only got 1 lap to go, and he's hoping right now that either his brother or JD get a puncher here, or even both of them do, to move him up the field. But here we go then. It is the last lap of the Grand Prix here in Australia. A soggy Australia, I've got to say. And can JD hold off Finn to win the first round of the Xbox F1 League? It is going to be very tantalisingly close right there. And you've got 1 more lap to vote as well for Driver of the Day. There's a clear winner, which I can see, but we won't reveal it just yet. And it's going to be very close, this one, I've got to say, between these 3 drivers, all playing it right on strategy, staying out longer on the wet tyres, needs to go on the inters at the right call, and they have done, and this could be very tasty here. Yeah,
we've got another battle down the field. We've got Bamley trying to hang it around the outside of ESR Stone into turn 3 there. ESR Stone got a bad exit out of turn 2 onto the grass, and it looks like he's going to have to give up that position onto Bamley. He's tried to switch back, actually, coming around turn 5 here, and Bamley's just taking up the track there nicely. Took the racing line there, and he's up into P6. That's probably not the position he was hoping for, but at this point, it seems to be the maximum he can get, and Matthias is right up on the back of ESR Stone as well. Maybe he's struggling with tyres, but he's going to want to hold that position off as much as he can, because he's done really well so far in this race. And
on board with JD here. Here he comes then, into the last sector then. I've got to say, from starting, I think it was 7th place he started in this Grand Prix.
Yep.
And he's pulled off a brilliant drive here. Coming into the penultimate corner then, he is going to pull off the first victory of the AOR Xbox League. I've got to say, he's done a brilliant job, brilliant move on Flying Finn to take the lead of the Grand Prix. He comes up the last corner. He will win the Australian Grand Prix, the first round. What a brilliant drive from JD. He deserves the win here, and he's going to be absolutely delighted with that performance. Finn comes home in 2nd place, and his brother will come home in P3. Sub-Freeze will come home in P4, and Taylor will come home in P5 in the Force India. And Bamley's going to hold off just about there for ESR Stone in P7 for the Sauber driver, and Mattis will come home in P. I think that's P8, I believe.
He's been moved up to P5 now, actually. I think there's been penalties that have sorted themselves out, and I think Bamley, he managed to get himself a penalty there. I think Matthias kept out of trouble and didn't get himself a penalty there, so he's elevated himself up into P5 there. And yeah, Taylor down into P8 with all those penalties, so that's not brilliant for him there. Joe in P9 and NLR Evo in P10 there. Martin 11th and out of the points there. That's not brilliant for him.
Indeed, here comes Lockdown then, next across the line in the McLaren. Bit of a quiet race for him, but he'll be just warming himself up, wants to get ahead of him right there. But the chat is blowing up for JD right now. I've never seen a chat blow up as much as this right there. As here comes Lockdown, he's going to come home in 15th, and the man of the hour, here's Stu. Obviously, unfortunately, getting a puncher. Was on course for a point, and unfortunately, things happen in the race. He's going to come home in 16th place, and the last man to come across the line. So he's getting his moment of glory right now as he comes across the line. But it is the official results then coming up very shortly right there. We know the top three, which you'll see in a minute on the podium, and we will hopefully speak to at least two of them in an interview. So we'll wait and see if JD's going to come on, and I would love to speak to him actually, because he'll be absolutely delighted with that one. But here is your podium then coming up right now, and there is a very happy TR Limitless there. Look at him, he's delighted there with Toro Rosso. Look at them, they're all delighted for JD as well on one half of the Toro Rosso garage there. But you got to say Finn as well did pretty good from pole, but just one little mistake there cost him the win, and his brother there you can see in P3. So at least the two brothers on the podium there.
Yeah, it was a decent race there. I really enjoyed that one. Interesting little statistic. Every single time since Season 5 that the Round 1 was won by that race winner has gone on to win the championship, except for Season 9 when TR Limitless won the opening race in Australia. So hopefully that's not recurring demons for Limitless, but that's the perfect start for him at the moment in this championship.
Indeed, we'll quickly go through the field then. The top three. Alonso got a penalty as well. We've got Suffreys in P4, Mattis in P5, Lee in 6th, Stone in 7th, Taylor in 8th, Joe in 9th, and Evo will get the last points paying position, with a lot of people getting cheeky penalties, of course, mainly for corner cutting or contact as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have some interviews for you guys. I'm going to try my very best to get JD in here. We would love to speak to the man who has won this Grand Prix, and hopefully as well, praying that we speak also to the Flying Finn, because he definitely does deserve a cheeky mention in the broadcast. So if you just give me 1 second while we get a actual picture for interviews, because I've not done this yet, so a bit of a flop for me on my end, so I do apologise, but we'd love to speak to both Finn and JD there for that awesome battle we had in that one. And there we go. Let's just make this big. So obviously a little bit of a bad end on my end, but we get some music in the background so you guys can enjoy it for a little bit. We'll wait for a few moments there, but we'll go through the driver of the day, and this one's going to be a comprehensive one, I've got to say, Ciaro. Limitless has won with 90 votes. 86% of the votes went to JD. I don't blame the chat by there, and a very close second place, I've got to say. The Flying Finn with 6% of the votes.
Well, I can't say I disagree with that. That was, really awesome drive from TR Limitless. From P7 all the way up into P1, he cut his way through the field pretty nicely in those opening laps and just hassled the Flying Finn until he managed to get an overtake done. So, I can't disagree with that. Driver of the day, TR Limitless, and well-deserved race win there.
Indeed. We'll quickly go through the top 5 in the driver of the day votes. Of course, Limitless wins. The Finn was in second. Taylor, actually a surprising third in the votes, which I don't blame, because he did pretty well considering the shaky start he had. We've got Jason in 4th, and then we've got Eggy in P5, and then we've got Alonso as well, and also got Lee as well. So good to see a nice range of drivers getting the votes, of course. We are still waiting, hopefully, for JD or the Flying Finn to join us in the Discord. If not, then we will wrap up the broadcast, and I'll try my very best to get interviews from both of them so we can put it in the intro for the next round, which I believe is in China, which is going to be quite an interesting track, I've got to say, for some of the drivers in this lobby, considering what happened in the esports race a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, interestingly, in that esports race, TR Limitless showed, again, amazing pace as he cut his way through the field again and overtook Bam Lee there and started to pull away until there was that, strategy error when it started raining. But that's another strong track for Limitless there. So, I guess he's going to be looking forward to the next round in China as well.
Oh, indeed. And a track that obviously can bring a bit of unpredictability as well, obviously with the weather, like we saw here. So I would love to see a bit of wet racing, because it actually, you can see, we've had a cracker of a race to kick off the season as well. And obviously, it is the first race. We can't definitely say this will be the order. We will see some different drivers maybe coming up and getting some wins, or even challenging the likes of Limitless as well, and like the Flying Finn. So don't count some of the drivers just yet. It is one round. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have a cracker of a season as we saw in this first round, Ciaru.
Yeah, I think some of the guys like Bamley, Tyrrell Martin, NLR Evo, we expect to see them up there. Maybe it was just a sort of one-off. I know Evo knocked his front wing early on and had to pit. Bamley had a bad start, and I guess Martin was just, I don't know, he was nowhere at this point. So I think once it comes to just a nice dry race, maybe the pecking order will start to be established. Maybe things won't be mixed around too much. But yeah, things are mixed around a little bit here. But yeah, awesome race.
Indeed. And I don't think JD or Finn's going to join us, unfortunately. We don't want to keep it long, obviously, because I know a lot of you have got other priorities on hand. But I will promise I will try and get an interview with JD and Finn for the intro for next broadcast. So this broadcast may start a little bit earlier than normal, around about 7:45, as it's going to be a little bit of a long one to get interviews with JD and Finn. I would love to speak to them, of course, from the last round, from this race actually. So we are going to wrap it up there tonight, guys. So I want to say, firstly, a massive thank you to Ciaru for coming in and taking the realm of co-commentator. People have liked it. I've got some good response for you, apart from the robot issue. But luckily, you were fine at the end of the race there. So that's obviously fantastic. So thank you so much for coming along and giving your insight into this for the season, actually. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and really enjoyed it. My first time doing any sort of live commentary. Bit nervous, but hopefully I did all right, and I'm going to improve and in the coming rounds, and looking forward to this really exciting season we've got in store.
Indeed. Also, I will leave his channel in the description below so you can go and check him out. He has got some F1 content and he does commentate pretty well, so go and check him out in there. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, guys, because this is where the home of Xbox F1 Leagues will be for every round of the championship, and it's going to be a belter this season. If you think this race was good, wait till the rest of the season, where the next round will be, of course, at China, the Shanghai International Circuit, which will be next week, guys. Same time, same place on this channel, guys. And Ciaru, I'm going to let you do the honours of closing the broadcast. So for myself, thank you so much, guys, for coming out as always, and I will see you guys next week.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, see you next week. Hopefully you're going to enjoy China. Hopefully we're going to have another cracking race, and maybe Tyrrell Limitless can extend that championship lead. So thanks for watching, and see you guys next week.
Goodbye.